There are basically three types of sharpening: process sharpening, cosmetic sharpening, and output sharpening. In this video, we're going to look at the sharpening options offered in the Develop module, which are mostly related to process and cosmetic sharpening. Output sharpening options are found in the Print module and in the Export dialog window. So in the Develop module here in the right side panels, under Detail, I'm going to click on this reveal triangle, and you can see the various sharpening controls: amount, radius, detail, and masking. You can also see an exclamation point, and this is telling me that I need to zoom in. And I'm going to click on that exclamation point or mark, and it's going to do it for me. I'm going to click and drag and bring her face right into the middle of the preview area. So over here to the right of sharpening, you see this reveal triangle. If I click on that, it reveals a preview area that I can right-click on and use either a 1-to-1 view or 2-to-1 view, and then scroll around my image and work straight off this preview, small preview window. I actually find it more useful to work off the main preview window, so I'm going to go ahead and close that for now. All right, so let's go through the various sliders and see what they do. The amount slider is probably the most useful slider of all, except for the masking slider. This is where you get most of the power sharpening. So I'm going to move that slider to the right, and you're going to see as I do so, the sharpening is increasing. But if I go too far, it's going to overemphasize in this case, the noise that's in this particular image. And so I generally find maybe a setting of 43, anything under 50 is going to be a nice medium. Now, if you want to see better what's happening here in grayscale, if you hold down the Option or Alt key while you're moving that slider, it's easier to see what the effect is. So let's go back down, release the Option or Alt key. I'll leave that at 50. So the radius slider, the best way to illustrate what the radius slider does is, again, hold down the Option or Alt key, and I'm going to click and move it from its default setting of 1.0, and watch the edges, just out in here. Watch this edge area as I move that radius slider. It's increasing the edge, the radius. In this case, it's gone from 1 pixel to 3 pixels. So I'm going to bring that back down. I oftentimes find its default setting of 1.0 just works fine. The detail slider, it defaults at 25. I'm going to hold down the Option or Alt key again and show you what's happening here. If I move it to the right, it's increasing the sharpening in the smallest detail possible, and it's emphasizing areas that I don't want to emphasize. So in this case, increasing the detail slider this high is not useful. I'm going to go back down to its default of 25, which again, I find that works pretty well. You get the most control out of the amount slider. All right, so the masking slider, this is as useful as any slider in Lightroom, in my opinion. Watch what happens when I hold down the Option or Alt key here and move the masking slider to the right. What this is doing is masking certain areas of the image and saying, basically it's saying, don't apply sharpening here. And frankly, you don't want sharpening in the skin tone area because it's not going to really increase the sense of sharpness of the picture any, but what it'll do is it increases the contrast and then reveals the noise or texture, which you don't want. So as I move this slider to the right, you can see now that the dark areas are holding back the effect of the amount, the radius, and the detail sliders, and not applying any of those settings to that area. And it's only applying it to the edges, which is what I want. So in this case now we've sharpened the appearance of the eyes, the teeth, this area up in here, the hat, but we've left the skin tone area alone, which is what we want. So let me go into the before and after view so you can get an idea of what we've done to this image, which was out of focus to begin with, and I'll never be able to bring it back to 100% sharpness. But here, look, I've kept the softness of the skin, but I've definitely sharpened the eyes and the teeth. Now I could go in and do it a little bit more if I want to, and since I've got that mask set so high, I can bump up the amount a little bit more without affecting that skin tone area. And there, now I've given the image more a sense of sharpness than it had before. So I'm gonna hit the Y key again, bring it back, and then I'll zoom back down. And you can see that this image now appears sharper. So I mentioned cosmetic sharpening. Let me show you what I mean by cosmetic sharpening. I'm going to open up another image here. Let's open this one down here from the film strip. And in order to illustrate cosmetic sharpening, and what I mean by cosmetic sharpening is that instead of globally applying sharpening to the entire image, I'm just going to apply it to a certain part of the image. And in order to illustrate that, I'm going to select the adjustment brush up here. And I'm going to then select sharpness. And with this brush, I can come in and selectively sharpen parts of the image. And in this case, I want to sharpen just the eyes. They're pretty sharp to begin with, but this is going to give them even more of an intense look. Okay, so I don't want to do anything with the skin. I might want to go in and sharpen some of the hair a little bit, bring up the contrast here. But this is what I mean by cosmetic sharpening. You're sharpening parts of the image, leaving other parts of the image that you don't want to increase the chance of noise or any texture. You're leaving those parts alone. This is cosmetic sharpening. So within the Lightroom Develop module, you have the powerful controls that we saw down here with the detail panel, and also the ability to go in and selectively sharpen areas. Lots of control, all within Lightroom's Develop module.